Sixes. Monster Mash.
Stephen King's Children of the Corn. When the movie opens up, we get a couple of really cool shots of some cornfields and just really nice establishing shots. Then we see a bunch of churchgoers just getting done with the service, and now they're heading to their local diner to have breakfast. That's whenever we meet one of our main characters, Job, played by Robbie Kiger. Him and his dad are at the diner when all of a sudden these weird ass fucking kids just enter the place, and then next thing you know they lock all the doors up, and that's whenever we see him for the first time. Isaac, played by John Franklin. Just look at his fucking smirk. We see Courtney Gaines, who plays Malachi, and he's basically Isaac's right-hand man. Whenever Isaac gives the signal, the shit really hits the fucking fan. And they start murdering all the fucking grown-ups. Some pretty brutal shit. They even put this one dude's hand in a fucking meat slicer. Shit. This wasn't just happening only at the diner. This shit was happening all over the town of Gatlin. Every grown-up in Gatlin that day was fucking murdered. And I almost failed to mention, Isaac is basically like the leader of this fucking children cult. Yeah, some pretty dark shit. I also forgot to mention that Job says that the only reason that his sister wasn't there at church or the diner that day is because she was at home sick with a fever. We later on find out that his little sister Sarah has some crazy psychic powers. So now we fast forward to present day. That's when we meet our main characters, Bert Stanton, played by Peter Horton, and his girlfriend, Vicky Stanton, played by Linda Hamilton. Bert's a physician, and they're driving across the Midwest to his new job, trying to get there before Monday. So one of the kids is just sick of Isaac's fucking weird-ass shit, so he's about to get the fuck out of there. And then just like that, Joseph's gone, taking off right into the cornfield. Joseph is running, just fucking hauling ass through these cornfields. When all of a sudden he comes to a stop, the corn stalks just like open up as if they're alive or something, and you hear this really creepy laughter like coming from the corn. I don't know what the fuck's going on here. But then Joseph, like a jackass, trips and falls down. Of course, he had to fucking trip and fall down. It's a fucking horror movie, right? Then he gets up and he's like looking around, and all of a sudden you see a mysterious person walk up behind him, pull this giant fucking knife, and then literally just stab the shit out of poor little Joseph. In a desperate attempt, Joseph somehow makes it to the road. They smash right into Joseph, going at least 50 or 60 miles per hour. It's pretty fucking brutal. After the crash, Bert makes sure that Vicky's okay, and then he gets out the car to go check on whatever the fuck they just hit in the road. Approaches the body, and that's whenever he discovers that it's a little boy. And he turns him over. He's just completely mutilated, blood everywhere. It's pretty fucked up. And that's whenever Vicky walks up and sees that there's a dead kid lying on the ground, and she starts to kind of freak out.
There's something very wrong here. So I want you to go back to the car and wait for me there, understand? And keep all the doors locked until I get back.
Gets a blanket out of his car, and he covers up the body. And then for some reason he goes into the cornfield, and that's where he finds Joseph's bloody suitcase. Then Vicky gets out the car, like an idiot, and goes over to the body. And then all of a sudden Joseph jumps up, only to reveal that it was just a dream. And then Bert goes over there and picks up Joseph's body, and he puts him in the trunk, and then they hit the road in search of help. We see Sarah and Job playing a little game of Monopoly. All of a sudden a giant knife just comes and flies right into the center of the board, and then they look up and they notice that Malachi's standing there just giving them this evil look. Then we cut back to Vicky and Bert in the car driving still, and that's whenever Bert tells Vicky that
His throat was cut deliberately. He was already dead when he stumbled out into the road.
I felt like we were being watched.
Possible.
whoever committed this heinous act must have been close by. Creepy. Then Malachi takes Sarah and Job to go see fucking Isaac and basically rat him out, and Malachi makes Sarah show Isaac her new drawing. It's pretty much a picture of Bert and Vicky's car coming into Gatlin, essentially warning Isaac that some new victims are coming to town.
You have the gift of sight. This is a blessing, my child.
I've seen this car upon the road.
Then Isaac tells Malachi to go make sure that the old man doesn't talk, whatever the fuck that means. We cut back to Bert and Vicky in the car again, and Bert finally convinces Vicky to open up the suitcase that he found in the cornfield. They open it up, and there's this really weird, strange little cross made out of corn. I don't know what the fuck's going on there. So Bert and Vicky stop off at this little gas station right outside of Gatlin. Bert gets out and he talks to this old guy that works there. It's this old guy and his dog. And the old guy tells him, don't even bother going through Gatlin because it's a super religious town. And they probably don't even have a phone anyway, because Bert's trying to use his phone, you know, to maybe call the authorities or somebody to let him know about this fucking dead kid that he has in his trunk. After being snubbed off by the old mechanic guy, they drive off. The old guy's dog, Sarge is what he calls him, he runs away. He realizes that his dog has been brutally fucking murdered by these evil children. He picks up this giant wrench and he goes looking for him. Goes inside the garage. The children of the corn surround him and murder the fuck out of him.
Come on.
After getting shit fucking lost by the mechanic's directions, Bert decides, fuck it, we're just going to Gatlin. Meanwhile, Isaac and his fucking children cult, they're having church, I guess, or like some sort of a sermon. Isaac is going on and on about this crazy shit about this guy called He Who Walks Behind the Rose, and it's, I guess, essentially their god that they worship.
And he who walks behind the rose did say, I will send outlanders amongst you, a man and a woman.
Their god, He Who Walks Behind the Rose, or whatever the fuck, wants Isaac and his followers to offer the Outlanders, Bert and Vicky, as a sacrifice to their god, the one and only He Who Walks Behind the Rose. These kids are fucking nuts, okay?
Bring him the blood of the Outlander!
Praise God! Praise the Lord! Praise God! Praise the Lord!
Bert and Vicky finally arrive in Gatlin, and it's a literal ghost town. I mean, it's fucking dead. The streets, there's nobody around. Except for we soon see that the children of the corn are all the while lurking in the shadows. So they finally stop and get out of the car, and they unknowingly go into the exact diner where the fucking brutal massacre happened earlier in the film. Then Bert looks up, only to see a couple of those freaky ass kids rummaging around in their car. So they take off after them, but they fucking lose them. And that's whenever they come up to a house where Bert sees the front door like literally just shut, so he stops to go check it out. Upon looking around and inspecting the house, it really seems like nobody's been here for a hot minute. And that's when Bert finds the phone, but the fucking cord is cut, rendering it completely useless. So they continue to look around the house when they hear some music coming from one of the rooms upstairs. That's whenever they find little Sarah just chilling in there, you know, just drawing and listening to music.
Are your mommy and daddy around?
They're in the cornfield. All the grown-ups are there.
Are they working there?
Isaac put them there.
Bert leaves Vicky there with Sarah, and he sets out to find the town hall and search for any kind of help. Malachi and his fucking goons come to take Vicky and Sarah back to Isaac and back to the cornfield so the Outlander can be sacrificed. Bert then hurries back to the house, only to find that Vicky is gone and Sarah is left there.
Who's Malachi? What do you mean?
So they're having this blood ritual, and one of the kids, she's about to drink the blood from out of the corn cup when Bert comes busting through the doors of the church, and he shuts that shit down. They then send for Malachi to come take care of Bert because they need him as the other sacrifice. And all of a sudden the girl stabs Bert with a fucking knife, and then he pulls it out, and then he turns it on the fucking demonic children, and then in a desperate act, he bolts the fuck out of there. Malachi has Bert cornered inside of some old building. Bert sneaks up on him and nails him in the fucking shin with like a wrench or something. Youch. And then he turns around and, like an idiot, runs into the wall. Dirt! So this is where Bert meets Job for the first time, and Job tells him that he knows a safe place to go. Turns out to be this old basement in one of the abandoned houses. And then, to get Bert up to speed, we get a little exposition.
Isaac started the whole thing. If he hadn't have come, this would never have happened. But when he was young, he was a preacher, so everybody believed him. They thought he had a great spirit.
And then we cut back to the cornfield where Isaac is explaining to Malachi that they both must be sacrificed by tonight. The movie takes an unexpected turn. That's right, Malachi turns on Isaac and tells him that all the kids, all his followers, are sick of his fucking bullshit too. So then Malachi tells them to cut the woman down and put Isaac up in her place. Malachi and the gang set out to find the Outlander.
Outlander! Her blood will spill unless you give yourself up!
The ceremony has begun. And now it's Amos's time. It's his 19th birthday, and it's his time to go with he who walks behind the rose.
I'm ready! Take me now, Lord! Your will, Lord!
This kid's fucking crazy. He's just so ready to die. Happy birthday, motherfucker! The ground starts glowing yellow. It's him. It is he who walks behind the rose, and he's fucking here, and he is ready for his sacrifices. The golden glow engulfs Isaac, and then turns red. Isaac and the corn crucifix just go bursting into the air. Bert runs up while all the kids aren't paying attention, and he just clobbers Malachi, and Malachi falls to the floor. Bert then pretty much kills everybody with words. I'm telling you, he like shuts these fucking kids down, and some of the kids are like looking at each other like, oh yeah, he's right, fuck, we are insane. And then out of nowhere, Malachi just fucking tackles Bert, and then the real brawl is fucking on. He's really giving it to him, you know what I'm saying? He's even like fucking pimp slapping the shit out of him, like stone cold just slapping the piss out of him, dude. It was great. After Bert makes Malachi his little bitch, he gets up and just walks right the fuck out of there.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Fucking zombie Isaac just comes walking up into the scene.
He wants you too, Malachi.
And then Demon Isaac grabs Malachi by his neck and breaks the fuck out of it. Shit it.
What was the blue man doing at the still?
He hooked the hose up to it and was trying to roll it out. Like
was gonna burn the field.
So now they have a plan, and hopefully they can end this fucking demonic shit once and for all. So Bert heads out to try to burn down the fucking cornfield, when all of a sudden, the cornfield starts to fucking attack him. Yes, it literally starts to attack him. What? So he cuts himself free of the killer corn, with a little help from Job, of course. And then it's back to the mission at hand. With the demonic force quickly approaching, the gas is spraying, shit's ready to go. Then Bert finally gets the Molotov lit, and he goes to throw it, and for some reason he fucking trips. Why does everybody in these fucking movies always have to trip at the most crucial times? Like, what the fuck? Then little Joby picks up the Molotov and the Nikola test, runs it back to Bert. He hurls the Molotov into the air. It ignites the field, purging the fucking evil once and for all. And that's basically the end of the movie. They live happily ever after, so to speak. And the kids end up just staying with them. Bert goes in the car for something, for some fucking reason. And then we have one final scare. That's right. That crazy ass bitch that was about to drink the blood from the corn cup earlier in the film. She pops up in the back seat and tries to fucking take Bert out once and for all. But he gets out of the car.
You must die!
And then they literally get the hell out of there.
What are we gonna do now?
Sandra, get Wilcock from Seattle. Let's get the hell out of here.
Definitely highly recommend you guys check this out. If you're a horror film fanatic or if you're a Stephen King fanatic, you'll definitely enjoy this movie if you haven't seen it already. And if you have seen it, then you understand how much of a fucking classic this film is. Go check it out any way you can, you guys. Scott86, Stephen King's Children of the Corn, I'll say it again. Go scope it out, folks. I'll see you guys on the next episode of Monster Mash.